sometimes we don't realize, opportunities not always come knocking on your door. Sometimes you just got to open and walk out the door and go look for them.
Right.
I was always being very intimidated. I guess maybe it's a culture thing. Used to always working under somebody and thinking as of baking and any other businesses that you kind of want to do on your own. Like, because we're brought up with that mentality that we always work under someone. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But if you do have a dream that you want to chase and you have the support, and even if you don't, if you want to give it a try, my husband always tells me, what's the worst thing that can happen? You just go find yourself another job and you won't have a trouble with that.
Welcome to Locala Podcast, everybody. I'm Lisa Anderson, your host and publisher of Locala Magazine. Before we hop over to our guest on the couch today, go ahead and smash that like button and download the podcast. Do whatever it takes to help spread the word, share us out, all that good, wonderful stuff. And today we are talking more food, and we have a wonderful macaron expert here today. And her name is Yina O, and I'm saying O for her last name because it is a beautiful last name that I would completely butcher, so I'm going to let her say it. So welcome, Yina.
Hi, good to be here. Thank you for having me here.
Yes, and would you like to introduce your last name for us?
Yes, the last name is Orejuela.
Yeah, see, that is beautiful, and I would have just stumbled right over with my Irish Norwegian tongue there.
Yeah, it takes a few practices.
Yes. So, well, I'm so excited that you are here. Tell us about your business, which is called Color Sugar.
Yes, it is Color Sugar. I actually find my niche. I specialize on French method macarons.
Okay.
They're just a very versatile little cookie with a punch of flavor. Just so people that don't know what a macaron is, it's actually just a base of almond flour.
Okay.
Egg whites. Granulated sugar and powdered sugar.
Oh, that's it?
That's it.
Wow.
It's a little moody. I always refer to macarons. They're a lot like us women or females. Very moody, depending on the day, depending on the temperature of your kitchen.
Yeah.
They actually decide to rise and be beautiful, or they just decide and just kind of not work with you.
Yeah.
So I hope nobody takes any offense of it or any females out there, but that's kind of how I relate them. But you can be very versatile in colors, flavors. And nowadays, a lot of people are actually, that we bake macarons, we're going out there where we're getting even more creative with decorations and even the shapes of the macarons. So, and you can do the fillings with chocolate, frostings, fruity flavors. So it excites me.
Yeah.
So I started baking years ago, a lot of different things, but that's where I found where I'm actually good at it. I enjoy doing. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing. When you tell me the list of ingredients, like, the way people always talked about them being so finicky, I always thought it must have much more ingredient than that. And I never I'm a terrible baker. I can cook, but I cannot bake. I burn everything I try on the baking spectrum. So how did you kind of get into the baking stuff?
Ooh, it was actually not even planned. It was very unexpected. It was back on, I want to say 2015, around there, 16. I got very sick. So I had to be taken out of work. I couldn't work for a few years. And I've been working since I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
So for me to be in a lot of respect for the stay-at-home moms, I couldn't see myself being home all the time. My sister actually was a new mother, and she found passion for baking to do something with her boy at home. So she says, why don't you try baking? Never done it before, so I couldn't say this was introduced by my mom, grandma, nothing like that.
Okay.
So that's how she got me into it. So I started learning a few things like doing the little cakes, the cookies, the cake pops, the little things that people kind of does, and the macarons. And my sister kind of taught me that through video chat. She lives up in New York. I live down here in Locala.
Oh,
so it was very nice. Afternoon, she'll have her wine and have my beer, and we'll bake together at a distance, video chat, and she taught me how to do it.
Yeah.
I started doing that, and as I kind of got introduced to it, I did it for friends, when you do get-togethers, and people pass the word. And then I said, well, maybe it's a possibility. I had a lot of support locally back then from other vendors here, and I did it kind of professionally for a few years. But then after a few years, I went back to the work industry little by little. I kind of pushed it away. And then now I'm back full time for over, I want to say almost 2 years now, doing it again. So I kind of kept it on the back burner, just little side things.
Yeah.
But now I'm back on it full time. I really enjoy it. But I only came back with my macarons because that's really my niche. I do come out, I know amazing bakers in town, and they're actually very good at the cakes, K-pops, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One thing that I get a lot is like, that's one thing it's hard for me to make. And I said, you know what? Maybe I should stick to this. And
and if it's something that you enjoy.
Yes.
And it still sounds like it gives you a lot of variety so that you don't get bored doing that.
Yeah, it allows me to get creative.
Yeah.
But it's still something that I enjoy. It doesn't stress me out. If anything, I think that's kind of like how people find something to do as a hobby or stuff like that. More as a business for me. I also see it as a hobby, as a way out of a busy day, crazy week, and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, and I enjoyed looking through your Instagram page. It's very colorful, and it seems like you have found a very good niche for yourself.
Definitely. And I have to give credits to my sister pushing me into it. Not only that, she actually was the one that was able to get me my logo too. So,
very
and
cool.
I stick to that, and I loved it. It's colorful, catchy.
Yes, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Especially that the macaron is very sugary.
Yes.
It's a lot of sugar. It's a sugar overdose, I usually call it.
Yeah. So, okay, well, let's go ahead and dive into more of your background, because you were saying that you didn't have that experience cooking or baking. So where did you grow up? What was your home like?
Well, I'm originally from Colombia, Medellin. Okay. It's a nice city down South America. My parents brought us up here to New York when I was 14 years old.
Okay.
I want to say that was back in, many, many years ago.
Yeah. 14, that's a tender age to be making such a big jump.
Well, yes. Well, we moved here. Our parents brought us here. It's just my sister and I. Okay. And we lived there about 9 years. And then we kind of got separate ways. My parents moved down to West Palm. My sister stayed and still up in New York. And I moved here I originally was going to move down to West Palm. But because of my son's condition, we actually ended up moving to Locala, being closer to Shands.
Okay.
So kind of things work out, not planned. It was just kind of making those decisions and kind of things kind of fit into place. So, and that's how I ended up here in Locala. I've been here, over 20 years, or maybe about 20 years.
Wow.
Love the seen it grown. It's kind of bittersweet to see how it's growing, because it's exciting, but it's like, oh my God. Maybe it's growing a little too much. But,
it was much smaller. Yeah. 20 years ago.
Yes, definitely. But that's kind of in a nutshell, that's how it is. We were brought up here and we ended up here. No parents, very hard workers. They actually retired very early in their age. And they moved back home in Colombia. Okay. So, they're kind of like, they work hard. And even though there was no background on the baking at home, my mom always made sure she was at home by the time we were back from school to have just the regular home meals, at home. That was very precious to her, to be there and not just have her kids, her daughters just sitting at home or not knowing what they were doing while she was working late. Right. So that was a priority to her. And that's kind of like what we learned as far as being in the kitchen. And I honestly, like you said earlier, I'm not much of a cook. I really don't enjoy it. Well, I enjoy it, I can say, but I'm not like the moms that come in and they make nice meals. I will make them. But if you tell me make macarons,
no problem. You're there.
Let's bring it out.
Yes. So do you make like macaron cakes for our special things type of stuff?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because with my friends, usually when we do get-togethers, that's the first thing they say. Usually as a Latino, when we get together, you usually say, what can I bring? What can I help with? And usually you say, well, can you bring some desserts? Can you bring some macarons? So I was like, okay, sure. So that's usually my go-to. Unless I'm running late, then I'll grab something on the store. But if I can whip them up real quick in the afternoon or something like that, and it has come to that where, people can take hours and hours making macarons, I can throw a batch in a matter of hours. So it's like, okay, let's get it out.
Done.
And it's I have to say, for me, it's when you bring them to people and they actually get to taste them and you see that reaction, especially on people and it goes very different ways. Some people that has never had them and they're like, oh my God, they're delicious. I think macarons in itself is a delicious dessert. And then, when they had them before and they say, oh my God, this is amazing. So it's very rewarding. I like to say it's easy to make people smile, and even if it's just a little macaron with a piece of sugar.
That's right. Yes. Well, perfect. Well, what do you remember about the transition for yourself from Colombia to New York?
God, it was hard. The language first.
Did you speak any English?
No, not at all. Not at all. I was about 14 years old, soon to be 15, and I have no language. And we went directly to, I remember when I got here, I was going into middle school.
Okay.
So when we used to get home, it was actually literally, we have a dictionary, and my sister and I, we used to translate. From English to Spanish to figure out what the homework is, what the lesson was. So it was long hours of homework at home. And then once we did the homework in Spanish, translated into English.
Oh, my goodness.
I never forget, here they do ESL classes when you're from another country. And it was funny because many of our kids there were from different countries. So we all speak our own language, but nobody spoke English.
Oh, my goodness.
So many times you'll have to communicate with drawings. So it was kind of fun as we were trying to draw and figure out what each other were trying to say. Made very good friends like that. And then, as we started kind of learning the English, it was exciting because we were like, oh my God, I said it. But it was tiring, and we used to cry. I'm not going to deny it. I used to say, Mom, just send them back. We'll go stay with Grandma and Grandpa. We're fine down there. Yeah. But my parents were persistent, and I'm glad they did. Because of them, we have the opportunity, and my kids have the opportunity to live and be in this country. So it was hard at the beginning. I used to cry, a lot of tears, a lot of moments were like, oh my God. But once you get, like everything else, you get a habit of, you get the language and you make friends and you make a routine, it gets easier.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like you said, you were 14. So that's a very, stressful age anyway. Yes. And then to make that big of a change where you're coming to an entirely different
shock.
Yes. I was just going to say that culture shock and, the language barrier. And I mean, that must have been really difficult. Did you live in a neighborhood where there was a lot of Spanish speaking?
No, not at all. It was actually a lot of Italians in that neighborhood and, Americans. And I was just going to say, we come from a culture that we used to when you get home from school, you out in your neighbor's nose and everybody's out in the street. Yeah. The kids playing, the neighbors going up and down. Here you come to a neighborhood that you rarely see somebody outside. You only walking the dog, going to the car. So that one part was also very hard, being used to just going out, calling out to your friends or seeing the neighbors screaming at the other. It's very loud out there. Yeah. Here, it's very nice and quiet. Yeah. So that part was also very hard.
Yeah. Yes. So now that you've been living in that quiet zone for so many years, do you prefer the quiet zone or do you still miss the loud?
I like the quietness, especially here in Locala. And that's what I mean about bittersweet. Being moved here about 20 years ago, it was very nice and quiet. And same thing happened moving from New York here. Coming from here in New York, the sirens and stuff like that. It was louder than it is here. And it was like, and then you move here and all you hear is rivets. And it's like, oh my God, what is this? And I used to tell my husband, where did you bring me at? And I used to cry, not lie, for the first month. But once I got into my routine again, I started making friends, started working, having my routine with my kids. So it just kind of grew on me. And I have to say, I really enjoyed the peace and quiet of Cala. That's why I say it's bittersweet, because sometimes it's like, oh my God, people stop coming. It's too much now. But it's good that it's growing. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited that Locala is in. It's good to see the direction it's going, but it's bittersweet. It's like, okay, a little too much. Slow it down a little. But I still, enjoy the quietness, the open roads. It's nice. I don't mind going up to, when I visit my sister up in New York, the little loudness. And even down there, I actually just came back about, I want to say 3 weeks ago from Colombian visiting my parents, and it's loud. And I enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but it's like when I come back, it's like, oh.
Yeah, you can just kind of decompress a little bit.
Yes. And I think that's why I feel that we are creatures of getting used to our environments. And if I have to go back to any other city or any other place that is loud again, I'm sure I'll get used to it. But just like everything else, it will be hard at the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you mentioned your son's condition. Do you mind chatting about that at all?
Oh, well, my son, my oldest one, he is 21. Okay. And he was born with a heart condition that is what they usually call a heart murmur. So usually they grow and it kind of closes on its own. Sure. He's never did. So about when he was 3 years old, we came, before he was 3, we came to visit my parents in West Palm. And he had a case where we had ended up going to the ER, and they talked about chance.
Okay.
So we didn't think about it, and we just went back from vacation home in New York, and then we packed up things. 2 weeks later, we were down here.
Oh, wow. That was quick.
Yes. I think sometimes it's hard to make those decisions when you think about, well, everybody's different, don't get me wrong. But when you think about it too much, then you start thinking of the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
And he's our priority. My kids are still our priority. So we just jump and pack it up. Actually, let me rephrase. So my husband packed me and my son in an airplane to my parents, and he drove the moving truck with his dad and I believe his brother, if I remember correctly, down here, and got us down here set up. So, ever since we've been here.
Wow. Yeah. And how many kids do you have?
I have 2 boys. Oh. I have my oldest 21 and my youngest 18.
Okay. Well, you're about
actually never called myself. Soon, he just turned 19.
Okay.
Before he tells me, Mom. So I have Jason 21, Sergio 19. Yes.
Yeah. So are you about to be an empty nester, or are they staying home with you for a while?
No, I don't think. I think they'll be 30 before they leave the house. They get it too good at home. Yeah. We spoiled them a little. No, they are actually my oldest one. Jason is actually almost finishing up his second year here in CF.
Okay.
And then his goal is to be transferred to UFC to finish up the other 2 years because the CF offers that program here. Okay. And then my youngest one, Sergio, he wants to be a diesel mechanic. So nice. He's actually just recently started working with one of those mechanic places to get hands-on. Yeah. And we're actually venturing, if anybody knows, of about a diesel school, technical school.
Oh, cool.
They don't do it here.
Okay.
We're actually this week going to, I believe it's Lake Tex out in Lake County. I've heard that they offer that program. And then Santa Fe in Gainesville. So we're trying to make sure that that's what he really wants to go. And then he'll be my little mechanic at home. But they're focusing on school, getting them prepared. As a Latino, honestly, especially with my parents and even my in-laws, when you come to this country as an immigrant, you struggle a lot. Yeah. My parents, my dad did the investment to bring us with the residents. My mom was able to jump to work and stuff like that. So that allowed them to work, but it was a lot of what we're known to be doing, a lot of the housekeeping, a lot of the painter jobs. Nothing wrong with that. My parents were able to retire at such an early age because of how hard they work here. Right. And giving us the opportunity to be here. And I have to say, as a teenager, I didn't actually appreciated it, maybe I want to say, or took advantage of it. Maybe that's a better word, because I actually graduated from high school with a scholarship, and I only did about a year and a half in college, and I just kind of like, this is not for me. Yeah. As a parent now, it's like, my God, what was I thinking? And then, but then, I work myself through it. Whenever I look at my resume, I say, well, I might not have a lot of studies, but I've done a lot of jobs. So I'm very versatile of different things. And now as an owner, that's what kind of pushed me to say, hey, and my family say, you doing it for many years for the people. Well, why don't you go on your own and try something new? Yes. The kids are grown, makes it a lot easier. My respect for a lot of mothers out there that actually run their business and have little kids. And, but it's that thing of supporting my kids that I don't want them to struggle like my parents have to, or my in-laws, and not as much as my husband and I have to struggle, even though we have a good life compared to our parents. Yeah. And I want my kids to have, I think that's the goal of every parent, especially as an immigrant, is that family kind of goes even better and better and better.
Yeah, each generation gets a little bit.
So we're not about, hey, go get a job, get out of here. No, it's like you're here. You're welcome to have it as long as you respect the house. There are rules, though. Yeah. You respect the house. You respect, you still, under our roof, our rules. That's a very Latino thing. Yeah. Yes. And then, follow your dreams. Like, do something for your life. And then once you have a plan and you have settled and you're ready to fly, go. Yes. Fly.
Oh, beautiful. So what was the initial reason that your parents decided to come from Colombia to New York?
Like many immigrants, a better future. Yeah. Looking for doing something better for themselves and for the girls. Yeah. Sometimes we talk about it. I've actually just recently with them, when being down there with my parents, it's like, when we sit think about it, how would life would have been if we would be down there still. I'm sure and like many people down there, we make it because, we see people make it out there, but it's harder. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of struggles. And, it has a lot of challenges. And I'm not saying here it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's different. Here, we're used to just, many times work and work and work. There, it's a lot of holidays, actually.
Okay.
So people don't get the income. The paychecks are smaller. And it was funny. I share a funny fact about my country that I learned when I was down there recently. Is that Colombia is the country with most holidays in the world.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I think it's 18 or 19.
Wow.
Holidays in the year. So at least 2 Mondays of the month, you have a 3-day weekend.
Oh, wow.
And then I said, I wonder why we struggle down there. But no, it's hard, it's challenging. And that's the main reason why they did it. They wanted to give us a different opportunity. And that's why a lot of people comes here for that opportunity. My dad had the opportunity. He was already here working as a resident. So he was able to do the U.S. citizenship. And then he was able to get us out here. It was a few years of going back and forward. My parents actually, for I guess I can remember, for many years, my dad was 9 months out of the year of this country, and then 3 months out of the year down there with us until we were able to come here with him.
Oh, wow.
So it was 9 months out of the year that it was just the three of us, my sister, my mom, and I, in South America. And sometimes when people know it's 3 women by themselves, you have to learn how to fight by yourself as a female. So, but we had it. I can't say that it was very traumatizing. No, it was a very decent neighborhood. We all kind of know each other. The kids, we all know each other. Parents knew the kids. And it might sound bad, but even what it is considered the bad people of the neighborhood, whatever, when people want us to call them, they will take care of the kids in the neighborhood. So it was kind of like, they're not good people, but everybody kind of knew each other and they will protect each other. And I always recall whenever we were playing out in the streets and there was going to be something like a conflict between neighborhoods among the, drug dealers or whatever, they will come down the street and say, kids, you better get in the house.
Okay.
So it was kind of like, it's bad times, but they will protect your neighborhoods.
And your community don't get involved.
Just get in the house. You can say, kids, okay, time. So it was, those things like that. But, and I think that's what makes it hard. And I do consider myself being lucky or blessed that I had the opportunity to grow where I grew in Colombia for the 14 years. And then where the opportunity my parents gave it to be here. Because I know for a fact a lot of people has it way harder. Not only there, in any other countries that are, way, way harder. So, I'm not even going to go like, oh, my God, I had it bad. No, it was, it has its challenges, but definitely not compared to how some people get it. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. But that was what they were looking for, a better opportunity for us, giving us an opportunity to do better for ourselves. And now they're back in Colombia for over 10 years now. They love it. It was a culture shock getting back to our lifestyle down there. I bet. But I have to say they love it. They enjoy it. When I go see them, it makes me happy to see that they're happy. I would love to have them closer, but they're happy. So
I was just going to ask. It's got to be hard, though, with having them so far away again. Yeah.
But I have to say, living in Florida makes it a lot easier because plane tickets, they're not super cheap, but you can find very good deals.
A little bit easier shot over that way.
Yes. Well, yes. I always think of my sister in New York. For her, it's always challenging with pricing. So it's nice. And so, it's good to see them happy. They are at ease knowing that we are independent, taking care of our families. We have good husbands. So that also makes them at ease that they can be out there and be them. Perfect. Enjoy retirement.
Well, wonderful. Well, we're almost to the end of the show already. See, that wasn't so hard. Right?
No, I thought it was. I made it.
Went through just fine.
Oh, no, girl.
We might have to throw some blurper reels up for my misgivings here on problems on the introduction that I had.
You were just trying to make me feel comfortable.
That's right. I was doing it for you. All for you.
I appreciate it.
But is there anything that you kind of wanted to talk about that I didn't ask you about?
No, I think we kind of cover as far as my background, my baking, how I got into it, not traditionally. And maybe letting everybody know, take advantage of the opportunities you have out there. Sometimes we don't realize, opportunities not always come knocking on your door. Sometimes you just got to open and walk out the door and go look for them.
Right.
I was always being very intimidated. I guess maybe it's a culture thing. Used to always working under somebody and thinking as of baking and any other businesses that you kind of want to do on your own. Like, because we kind of we're brought up with that mentality that we always work under someone. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But if you do have a dream that you want to chase and you have the support, and even if you don't, if you want to give it a try, my husband always tells me, what's the worst thing that can happen? You just go find yourself another job and you won't have a trouble with that. So maybe it's just that, sometimes we're very afraid of taking steps. Maybe we're not confident enough. And then you realize that, you know what, it's out there. And sometimes I'm like a macaron, I look at it as like, it's just a macaron. But sometimes when I bring it and people get excited and I get my orders and people enjoy it, it's like, well, yeah, it's people enjoy it. It makes a difference in your day.
Yes.
So I don't know, maybe just that. It could be just something as simple as making macarons, but it could be something as big. So, just get out there, do it. Give it a try.
Give it a try. You never know.
Oh,
you
know. You only live once. They always say, even if you live twice, come on.
Right.
And I always think we had, when I was sick back 10 years ago, and I think that's why we're so close in my house as well, is when I got very sick, we had the experience of kids kind of thinking life without me, even my husband, or me thinking of like, oh my God, what if I was not there? I have to say when my oldest one turned 18, it was like, oh my God, like I cried that day because I could have not possibly seen him grown. And so let's not take it for granted. Let's have fun and make good memories and make, follow those dreams.
Yes, absolutely.
And I have to say, I was one of those very afraid, just like even being nervous sitting here. It's like, what if? No, it's like just coming today here, I was like, wow, I never thought I'll be signing up for something like this.
Yeah.
It's taking that step. You want the opportunity to come knocking on your door, but sometimes you just got to open the door.
Yes.
And go look for it.
That's right. Sometimes you have to find the door.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Perfect.
So,
well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
How can people find you? Like, I know I'll link your Instagram for sure.
I only have my Instagram for now, which is the color-sugar. I do have a Facebook on my personal, but I am getting ready to set up my business as well in Facebook. So I'll make sure I'll share that on my Instagram. So I only have that for now, my Instagram. Yes.
And they can do orders through your Instagram
and
stuff?
My Instagram. Of course, my phone number is on my Instagram as well. I have an email as well. I'll make sure I'll share all of that.
Do you ever do any markets or anything?
I do sometimes, actually. I do the, thank you for asking. I totally forgot about that. The pop-up market, sometimes I do here at the downtown when they have the special markets, not the every Saturday one.
Okay.
But I do the pop-up ones, like they do the Wednesdays or special ones, or even some of these amazing ladies that are doing those girls' night out, the Hispanic, that a lot of people are coming into making those pop-up markets. In some of them, I do participate, and I like people to be able to come and enjoy and grab some macarons. And usually, if they call me in ahead of time, my minimum order is 2 dozens. Make it worth it to
Make
turn on
it
the
worth
oven.
it, yes.
And the electricity bill and stuff like that. But no, usually it's a 2 dozens, and if you let me know ahead of time, usually, like most bakers, we would like to have a 2-week notice minimum, if not more. But if it's something that's present and I can squeeze it in, I'll make it happen. Yeah.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Yina.
No, thank you for having me, Lisa. I appreciate it.
It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the Locala podcast. Once again, we'll have all those links in the description for you. You can go ahead and read the story and see some images of Gina's in the magazine in our August issue. And we just hope that you'll come back next time and join us here where we focus on connections through stories.